A convenience store scanner beeps. Another beep. Then a pause. The cashier's expression changes. "Can you wait here for a moment?" Your heart starts racing. Surely. No, it couldn't be. 30 seconds later, the store manager walks toward you with a
Congratulations.
smile
You're the
that
winner.
doesn't look real. Then comes the sentence that instantly divides your life into two chapters. Congratulations, you're the winner. At first, nothing feels different. You're still standing in the same store. You're wearing the same clothes. Your car is still parked outside. But somewhere, hidden behind a series of phone calls, legal documents, tax forms, and flashing news headlines, the life you've always known has already begun to disappear. Most people dream about winning the lottery. They imagine the mansion, the sports cars, the vacations, the freedom. But almost nobody imagines the other side of the ticket. The strangers who suddenly know your name, the relatives you haven't spoken to in years, the impossible decisions, the pressure of managing more money than you ever thought you'd see in a lifetime. Because winning the lottery isn't a single moment. It's a journey through invisible levels, and each level changes you in ways the last one never could. Winning $10,000 doesn't create the same life as winning 1 million. Winning 1 million doesn't prepare you for 100 million. And becoming a billionaire is an entirely different world. Some winners quietly build lives of freedom that last for generations. Others lose everything they thought money would protect. And history has shown that the biggest prize can sometimes come with the highest price. Today, you're going to experience every level of life after winning the lottery, not just how much money you receive, but how every new level transforms your choices, your relationships, your identity, and ultimately, the person you become. Because beyond every hierarchy of wealth lies a hierarchy of character. Let's begin.
Level 1. Winning $10,000 to $100,000.
It doesn't feel real at first. You keep refreshing your banking app, expecting the numbers to change, but they don't. The money is really yours. You sit there for a moment, staring at the screen, not because you're deciding what to buy, but because for the first time in a long time, you're not worried. Then reality starts to settle in. Tomorrow's bills are still waiting. The credit card balance is still there. Your car still makes that strange noise every morning. The roof still leaks every time it rains. But this time, you don't have to postpone the repairs. You don't have to choose which bill gets paid first. You don't have to tell yourself, maybe next month. You open your banking app, one by one, the debts disappear. Every payment feels strangely anticlimactic. No fireworks, no celebration, just a quiet confirmation message. Payment successful. But every notification lifts a weight you didn't realize you were carrying. That constant pressure sitting in the back of your mind, the one reminding you every day that one unexpected expense could throw your entire life off course, begins to fade. You sleep differently that night, not because you're rich, but because your future suddenly feels a little less fragile. A few days later, you finally replace the tires you've been driving on for far too long. The mechanic points out 3 other problems that need attention. Normally, that sentence would make your stomach drop. This time, you simply nod. Go ahead and fix it. On the drive home, something feels different. It's not the car, it's you. For the first time in years, you're driving without silently calculating whether another repair will empty your account. Then you start looking around your home. The broken fence, the cracked bathroom tiles, the washing machine that only works if you hit it twice. Things you've learned to live with. One weekend, they're all repaired. Friends congratulate you. Your family says you've been lucky. But deep down, it doesn't feel like luck. It feels like relief. This is the first secret of winning the lottery. Small fortunes usually don't transform your life. They restore it. They give you something that's almost impossible to buy once you've lost it: peace of mind. But then something unexpected happens. After the debts are gone, after the house is fixed, after the vacation you've dreamed about is finally booked, you check your account again. The balance is still impressive, but it's smaller than it was last week, then smaller again the week after. Every decision made perfect sense. Every purchase felt responsible. Yet somehow the number keeps shrinking. That's when you realize something most people never think about. Money doesn't disappear all at once. It leaves quietly, one sensible decision at a time. And for the first time since you won, a new question enters your mind. What if I had won more? Because just beyond this level lies a completely different life. Level 2, winning $500,000 to $2 million.
A few months ago, you were counting every paycheck. Today, you're sitting across from a financial advisor. The conversation isn't about surviving anymore. It's about protecting money you never imagined having. They slide a stack of papers across the table. Investment strategies, tax planning, retirement projections, trusts, diversification. Words you've heard before, but never thought would apply to you. Then comes the question that changes everything. Are you planning to keep working? You smile. At first, the answer feels obvious. Why would you? You don't need the paycheck anymore. You picture the moment you walk into work. You imagine placing your resignation letter on your manager's desk. No more alarms, no more deadlines, no more asking permission to take a vacation. Just freedom. But then, another thought creeps in. If you don't go to work tomorrow, who are you? For years, your routine gave your life structure. Monday meant something, Friday meant something. Your coworkers weren't just coworkers, they were part of your daily life. Walking away from your job isn't just leaving a building, it's leaving behind a version of yourself. Then your phone starts buzzing. At first, it's harmless. Friends congratulating you, family checking in, old classmates you've barely spoken to in years. But after a while, the conversations begin to sound strangely familiar. I've got an amazing business idea. Can I borrow a little money? I promise I'll pay you back. You're in a position to help now. You want to believe everyone is genuine, so you say yes, just once, then twice, then a few more times. After all, what's a few $1,000s when you've won millions? But every time you say yes, another person hears about it. Suddenly, saying no becomes harder than giving money away. That's when you discover something no one warns you about. Winning the lottery doesn't just change your bank account, it changes how people see you. Some see opportunity, some see generosity, some see an unlimited wallet. Very few still see you. History is filled with winners who learned this lesson the hard way. One of them was Michael Carroll. He was only 19 years old when he won millions. One day, he was collecting garbage for a living. The next, he could buy almost anything he wanted. Fast cars, parties, mansions, endless celebrations. For a while, it felt like the dream everyone imagines. But when money arrives faster than maturity, it doesn't just magnify your choices, it magnifies your mistakes. Years later, much of his fortune was gone, not because he lost it overnight, but because no one had prepared him for what it meant to suddenly have everything. That's the second secret of winning the lottery. Wealth arrives in an instant. Wisdom rarely does. You begin to understand that keeping money is an entirely different challenge from winning it. Then one evening, you catch yourself doing something you never imagined. You're scrolling through listings for homes worth millions of dollars, private communities, luxury cars, beachfront properties. Not because you need them, but because, for the first time, you can. And without realizing it, your definition of normal begins to shift. The life that once felt impossible now feels expected, which raises a dangerous question. If a few $1 million can change the way you see the world, what happens when the entire world starts seeing you? Because at the next level, you're no longer just wealthy, you become the story. Level 3, winning $10 to $50 million. The first few months are exciting. You finally buy the house you've spent years looking at online, the one with the long driveway, the tall gates, the breathtaking view. You tell yourself it's for comfort, for privacy, for a fresh start. But the moment you move in, you realize something. People notice. The neighbors notice. The delivery drivers notice. The contractors notice. Even strangers begin asking the same question. So, what do? At first, you laugh it off. You give vague answers, you change the subject. But the more successful your life looks, the harder it becomes to disappear into the crowd. Then, one afternoon, you're standing in line at a grocery store. Someone stares at you for a little too long. You convince yourself you're imagining it until they walk over. Aren't you the lottery winner? Suddenly, everyone else looks up. Some smile, some whisper, some pull out their phones. It lasts less than a minute, but it changes the way you see every public place from that day forward. You begin choosing quieter restaurants. You travel at different hours. You stop posting where you are. You think twice before answering unfamiliar numbers. Freedom starts coming with conditions. You don't have to imagine this. History has already shown us what happens next. When winners become public, their wealth often attracts far more than congratulations. Journalists want interviews, businesses want partnerships, strangers send letters asking for help. Some requests are heartfelt, others are carefully disguised scams. Every conversation carries a question you never had to ask before. Why are they really talking to me? That's the strange thing about becoming visibly wealthy. Before, you wondered whether people would notice you. Now you wonder whether anyone sees you or only your money. You catch yourself becoming more cautious. You trust more slowly. You share less. You even hesitate before telling someone where you live. Not because you've become arrogant, because you've become responsible for protecting something valuable. Then another realization hits you. The house with the gates, the luxury car, the expensive watch, they don't just represent success, they announce it. Every purchase tells the world a story about you, whether you intended to tell that story or not. That's why many wealthy people eventually stop chasing attention. They begin chasing something far more valuable: privacy. The ability to walk into a cafe, sit in the corner, and simply be another customer. The ability to answer your phone without wondering what the caller wants. The ability to help someone without your generosity becoming tomorrow's headline. You started this journey believing money would buy complete freedom. Instead, you're beginning to understand that every level of wealth asks you to give up something. First, you gave up financial stress. Then, you gave up the life you used to know. Now, you're giving up something even harder to replace: your anonymity. And just when you think you've learned how to protect it, you reach a level where privacy isn't enough anymore. Because at the next level, you don't just hire a financial advisor, you build an entire team to protect your life.
Level 4, winning $100 million to $2 billion. One morning, you wake up and realize something strange. You haven't thought about buying anything in weeks. Not because you've run out of money, but because you've run out of things to want. The dream house? You already live there. The luxury cars? They're sitting in the garage. The vacations? You've been everywhere you ever imagined. For the first time since you won, money no longer feels exciting. It feels heavy. Every decision now carries consequences that didn't exist before. Buying a new home isn't just buying a home, it's choosing a neighborhood where your family will feel safe.
Donating to charity isn't just generosity, it's deciding which causes deserve millions of dollars. Investing isn't about growing your savings anymore. It's about making sure your wealth survives long after you're gone. Then your team starts getting bigger. It begins with one financial advisor. Soon there's an accountant, and tax attorney, an investment manager, an estate planner, insurance specialists, security consultants, people whose full-time job is protecting a life you never imagined you'd have. Because at this level, making money isn't your biggest challenge. Keeping it is. Keeping your family safe is. Keeping your name out of the headlines is. You don't have to imagine this. History has already shown us what happens next. In 2022, Edwin Castro won one of the largest lottery jackpots ever recorded. Overnight, the world knew his name. His every move became news. The homes he purchased, the cars he drove, the lawsuits filed against him. Even a fire at one of his properties became a national story. Imagine living with that reality. Every purchase becomes public discussion. Every investment becomes speculation. Every mistake becomes tomorrow's headline. That's why many people at this level begin valuing something far more than luxury: silence. They buy homes hidden behind long private roads. They create trusts that keep their names off public records. They travel without announcing where they're going. They let other people speak on their behalf. Because they've learned something that almost nobody understands until they experience it. The more visible your wealth becomes, the more invisible you wish you could be. And then, one evening, you walk through your home. Every room is exactly the way you imagined. Every possession you've ever wanted already belongs to you. Yet instead of asking, "What should I buy next?" you find yourself asking, "What am I building all of this for?" That's the question money can never answer. Because somewhere beyond private jets, beyond luxury estates, beyond unimaginable wealth, lies a problem that no amount of money can solve: purpose. And that's where the final level begins. Because the greatest challenge isn't becoming one of the richest lottery winners in history. It's deciding what your wealth will mean after you're gone. The price nobody tells you about. You finally made it. The level almost everyone dreams about. More money than you could spend in several lifetimes. Every luxury you've ever imagined is within reach. You don't check price tags anymore. You don't wait for payday. You don't worry about retirement. Financial freedom has become your everyday reality. This was supposed to be the finish line, so why doesn't it feel like one? One evening, you find yourself sitting alone. The house is quiet. The phone isn't ringing. There are no meetings, no emergencies, no bills demanding your attention. For the first time in your life, you've solved almost every financial problem you ever had. And yet, a new question quietly takes their place. Now what? For years, money gave you a direction. Earn more, save more, invest more, build more. Every goal pointed toward a larger number. But you've already reached it. There's no bigger paycheck to chase, no promotion that changes your life, no purchase you've been dreaming about. You realize something most people never consider. Money is an incredible tool, but a terrible purpose. It can buy comfort, it can buy time, it can create opportunities, but it can't tell you why you wake up every morning. You don't have to imagine this. History has already shown us what happens when unimaginable wealth meets ordinary human problems. Jack Whittaker won one of the largest lottery jackpots of his time. He was already successful before he won. The money only multiplied what his life would become. In the years that followed, he faced theft, lawsuits, family tragedy, personal loss. Looking back, he admitted that if he could do it again, he wished he had torn up the ticket. Not because money is evil, but because money couldn't protect the people he loved. It couldn't stop grief. It couldn't buy peace. It couldn't rewind time. His story became one of the most famous lottery stories in history. But it isn't the only ending. There are thousands of winners you've never heard about. They quietly paid off their homes, invested wisely, protected their privacy, started charities, helped their communities. And then they disappeared. Not because they failed, because they understood something extraordinary. The greatest luxury wasn't another mansion, it was an ordinary life. The freedom to walk down the street without being recognized, to have friendships that weren't built on money, to watch your children grow up without the world watching them. In the end, that's what this journey has really been about. It was never about the lottery. It was never about millions or billions. It was about a question every one of us asks in different ways. If money were no longer your biggest problem, who would you become? Because every level you've climbed has taken something from you while giving you something else. Money removed your financial stress. Then it changed your identity. Then it challenged your relationships. Then it took away your privacy. And finally, it forced you to discover something no jackpot can ever provide: meaning, purpose, character. That's the hierarchy almost nobody talks about. We spend our lives trying to climb the hierarchy of wealth, believing that every new level will finally complete us. But when you reach the top, you discover another hierarchy waiting, one that isn't measured by dollars, but by the life you build with them. Because beyond every hierarchy of wealth lies a hierarchy of character. And that's the only one money can never buy.
Somewhere in the world, someone is buying their very first lottery ticket. They're imagining the house they'll live in, the car they'll drive, the places they'll finally get to see. They're dreaming about everything money could give them, and maybe, one day, they'll win. But as you've seen today, every new level of wealth comes with a new set of decisions. Some choices bring freedom, others bring consequences, and in the end, the lottery doesn't decide the rest of your life. You do. Because wealth isn't measured by what enters your bank account. It's measured by what remains after the excitement fades, the habits you keep, the people you protect, and the legacy you leave behind. So, if you enjoyed this journey, subscribe to Beyond Hierarchy, because next time you won't just explore what it's like to win the lottery, you'll step into an entirely different world, one level at a time. Until then, remember this: every level has a story. We'll see you in the next one.